when we are looking at changing narratives in the society through films, then I think mainstream films are the tool to do that.
Even my friends, my guy friends, they were like, after seeing Thappad, we were actually thinking, did we treat mom badly? Did we ever, say something stupid to our sister and actually, make her feel bad about stuff? So, yeah, a lot of reflection came our way, And I think that's a very good step to then hopefully them changing something, to some fruitful manner.
There was a very instinctive embracing of the film, and of course when it released in theaters it was just phenomenal because everyone was like feeling that sense of identification, like different people felt the maximum identification with different characters. There was a lot of like older women feeling like nobody has talks about how they feel, women feeling like that about their grandmothers and their mothers and their aunts, that we don't think about them like that.
And every single day, no, I'm not exaggerating, every single day, now that it's on Netflix, I get a message. I feel it's a process, and then you realize that this film, there are some films that will, what you say, archival, it becomes because the people constantly refer to it for various reasons.
Obviously, films के impact तो होते ही हैं. It is the, I think, the biggest influencer of I don't know, public or mass consciousness in India. हमारे यहाँ और कोई भी चीज उतनी नहीं பவர்ஃபுல் है.
இப்ப அதோட ஃபாலோவா தான் நான் வேர்ல்ட் மூவிஸ் நான் பாக்குறப்ப குறிப்பா அக்கிரா குரோஸோட 7 சாமுராய், அப்புறம் வந்து சில்ட்ரன் ஆஃப் ஹெவன், அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து ரன் ரோலர் ரன், சினிமா பாரடைஸ், லைஃப் இஸ் பியூட்டிஃபுல், குறிப்பா வந்து பேட்டில் ஆஃப் அல்ஜீரியஸ், அப்புறம் சிட்டி ஆஃப் காட். இப்ப இந்த மாதிரி படங்கள்லாம் நான் வந்து ஒரு கண்டினியூவா படம் பார்க்க ஆரம்பிக்கிறப்போ வந்து சினிமா வந்து கம்ப்ளீட் ஒரு ஆர்ட் மீடியம் எனக்கு தோணுச்சு. அப்ப அந்த ஆர்ட் மீடியம் அதோட பயங்கர பவர்ஃபுல்லான ஒரு மீடியம் அது அப்படின்னு எனக்கு தோணுச்சு. விஷுவலாகவும் அது வந்து மக்கள் கிட்ட வந்து பயங்கரமான ஒரு இம்பாக்ட் கிரியேட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கு. அது சைக்காலஜிக்கலா பல்வேறு தகவல்களை வந்து கடத்துது.
Men, I think the very interesting reaction from a lot of men who felt, so there was this one guy who wrote about how he went to see the film, and he said he went to see it because he thought there was a lot of sex and all in it. So he was like, I thought it'll be like, and he was a student or something, and he said I went to, and then he's like, after a few minutes I realized it's not that kind of film, and I felt so angry that I've been kind of cheated. So, but I thought I'll just stay on and watch it. And he said he continued watching the film, and he felt he had completely changed as a person at the end of the 2 hours because he realized he didn't know anything about what women actually feel. And his motivation for going for the film and how he came out at the end of it were totally, he was like, suddenly I was like, oh my God, there's a whole universe of, there's women, and I didn't know anything. I never spent any time thinking about how they feel or what they think. And and there were a lot of things of these men getting up and doing standing ovations at the end of the film, which is for me very, very interesting. There were also a lot of people who didn't say they're going. A lot of men who went for the film, they wouldn't say they're going for lipstick. They said they're going to watch some other film.
They really, I had many calls that were extremely emotional in nature. Some of them started from, oh, you've written a lovely movie, and it went into their personal lives. A lot of them. I relate to it. Like a lot of Instagram messages about how I can see myself in it. Why did I let myself go? Why did I become this person? And how did I become this person? So my overwhelming takeaway from the impact was it made people reflect on their own lives.
A High Court judge, he watched the film and he called me and said, this is a very, very important film, and this is one of the very, very few occasions I've seen a film and I felt that this is a film that I need to show my magistrates. So he asked me to arrange a screening for 108 magistrates. He screened the film and he called the writer to address. He called me and I invited the writer also to address the magistrates there. So the writer, who was imprisoned for nearly 8 months for a crime he did not commit, had an opportunity to address to the magistrates, and he expressed whatever he had to say. And then the judge addressed the magistrates and he said, as High Court judges, we have very little access to common people, but magistrates are every day interacting with common people. Please ask them what actually happened, what went through when someone is being asked for custody. Check with the person, ask twice or thrice, check, verify before giving custody. So this is what he said. And that judge happens to be one of the judges who picked up this Jairaj and Benix's case and ordered the CBCID inquiry into it. So he initiated it. Honorable Judge P.N. Prakash was the person who did that. And I really feel that this film had an impact, a very rightful impact in this whole scheme of things.
If a Masan goes to a Cannes Film Festival, it wins and all that, that is just an echo chamber of all of us sitting in a room full of indie filmmakers and in industry and clapping to each other. The real change will come when, people far-flung areas would see and want to change, which I sort of saw it in Juice, like my driver saw it and it made him uncomfortable. And he questioned it, and I can see that change in him.
I have to say that it is the first time I experienced a very visceral response from the exact TG that it was created for. My DMs on my Instagram and my Twitter were flooded with real responses from young women who have been who have been through vicious gender violence all their life. And that's such a part and parcel of being a woman in India. And all of us, like in varying degrees, have been through these experiences. And it is an unchanging situation, and it's only getting worse. And it's like the number of women who wrote to me, how they resonated, and how they felt very vindicated with the film, and they felt that it was their voice. And at that point, this is the first time I felt that I'm so glad that the film was told in a populist vocabulary.
Over the years until now, till today, I get messages from youngsters saying that how when they watch the film, a lot of them make their families watch it and use it to come out, use it to feel a sense of dignity of their own self.
அதான் நிறைய எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ் இருக்கு ஆக்சுவலி. இப்போ அது என்னன்னா, இப்போ என்ன சொல்றது, ஆதரவும் இருக்கு, எதிர்ப்பும் இருக்கு, எக்கச்சக்கமா இருக்கு. இப்போ நிறைய பேர், இப்போ நான் ஜார்க்கண்ட் போனேன். ஜார்க்கண்ட் போறப்போ எனக்கு கிடைச்ச ரிசப்ஷன் பார்த்து நானே மறந்துட்டேன். அங்க இருந்த நிறைய ஆக்டிவிஸ்ட் இந்த லேண்ட் வேல்யூ பத்தி, இந்த லேண்ட் பிரச்சனையை பத்தி பேசுறது, அப்புறம் அப்ரெஸ் கம்யூனிட்டி பத்தி பேசுனதை அவங்களுக்கு பயங்கரமா பிடிச்சிச்சு. அவங்களுக்கு என்னை அவ்வளவு கொண்டாடி தீர்த்தாங்க. எனக்கு இன்னும் அது பயங்கரமா செம மூவிங்கான ஒரு மீட்டிங்கா அது இருந்தது.
Impact can be about people rethinking about their own positions in their own relationships, men and women. Like men were talking to me about how they are all patriarchal. They just don't get it, right? It is very subtle for some. It is very in your face for the others. It is a huge part of the conditioning. You don't even realize that you're it. Like my husband, after seeing a thappad, he's like, there are so many little things that I do, which, I just do. But if you see it from another lens, it may look patriarchal. Now, what do we do about that? So I said that, see, the very fact that you're getting aware of this is enough for me. It's going to, I hope, reduce, or I don't know what, get repaired generation to generation. So I'm glad that you're questioning this about yourself.
I think it kind of reaffirmed my thought that one doesn't have to be like who's going to be the audience. You create the work that you believe in, and it will find an audience. I feel like, we should trust, we will continue. Maybe our audiences will be small, but we can keep, like, they will build and they will grow, and those audiences will sort of come.
In San Francisco, the headings of the newspaper was "Coming Home with Nikhil." And next day, I remember me and Sanjay walking down the streets. Now, San Francisco is not a village, but different parts of the city, there were people screaming at Sanjay saying, Nikhil, we love you. So I feel that somewhere it cut across cultures, because I think as a person also, I believe that the thing that needs to be cherished, I'm speaking, I'm narrating human stories. That way, it's not specific to region, to class, to, anything. For me, the act of making the film was also empowering myself. And I think when what you do is so personal, it also starts empowering other people, and that it becomes almost like a byproduct. That was not the goal. The goal was to tell a story that really touched me deeply. It was based on a real life story of Dominic D'Souza, which when I was editing a documentary touched me. So I wanted to just tell that story, and everything else that happened with the film was not planned.
We cannot go far, fight for the rights as the actors do. But then we are here to say that we will stand by you, we will support you, and if we coming to the actual ground zero, then if that's going to make an impact, make a difference, then we are going to go there. So that's how I have positioned myself after Visarane. So that made me do it. And then after Visarane, I was not able to write or think of anything without some amount of socio-political relevance.
Just a couple of days back, when it was Raksha Bandhan, I thought that, I'm really fortunate that my brother Nikhil is every year remembered 3 times, at least, formally. One is World AIDS Day. One is the entire Pride Month. Okay. And one is every Raksha Bandhan. Every Raksha Bandhan, it's treated as one of the landmark films about brother-sister relationship, And I feel that feels nice. It's not rare. It's rare with a film that it has so many different dimensions that people want to recall it for. It has different aspects to that film.
If it's an art film or it's a popular film, it always lends itself to engagement at a deeper emotional and cerebral level. And so I look at a film as a very important tool of communication, of social communication, of popular communication, of basically being able to say what we want to say. It is, in my head, a film has never been a very it has never been an exercise in frivolity. Even if it is a film which may not be overtly political, it may still give me an opportunity to emotionally resonate with it.
एक फिल्म अकेली बहुत कुछ नहीं करती है. It's always trends in movie making, choices in movie making over a period of time, which is say पिछले 5 साल में हमारे सिनेमा में हमको शिफ्ट दिखेगा. लेकिन वो शिफ्ट अब सिर्फ एक फिल्म जब वो पहली आई थी, फॉर एग्जांपल पहली फिल्म आई थी which was say glorifying nationalism in a way, तो वो अकेली पहली फिल्म से कोई भी न तो सोसाइटी पे कोई इम्पैक्ट पड़ा था, न ही आपको समझ भी आ रहा था कि आगे किधर जाने वाली है. आई फील इट्स ऑलवेज वी हैव टू सी आर्ट एंड सिनेमा इन अ स्लाइटली ब्रॉडर लेंस. थोड़ा सा उसको वक्त देना पड़ता है कि समझने के लिए कि क्या क्या हो रहा है और किस किस दिशा में हो रहा है, और फिर वो automatically, of course, because it is a business driven by how they say कि audience को ये पसंद है इसलिए हम ये बना रहे हैं.
A filmmaker's work does not give immediate results. It's a process. I make a film today. I made Visarane 5 years ago. So somewhere, a school kid must have watched the film, because I watched a film called Nayagan by Mani Ratnam. I watched it some 49 times in a VHS tape. And then every time while watching, a friend of mine and I used to think, what the Mari padam panunda? Like, I need to do a film like this. So that is where it all started. Whether I made films like Mani Ratnam or not, that's different. Whether I agree with the kind of films that are being made, that's different. But then his films initiated me into getting into films. So that I feel is what the filmmaker would be doing. So someone, a school kid watching Visarane or watched Visarane when it got released, like 5 years from then, now he must be passionately wanting to be making films like Visarane. And the impact that it has left, it is going to be creating influences. The social discussion is happening. So that would keep happening. So the movement happens only with time. And we just need to be putting forward the films. And I think film narratives worldwide will influence the thought process of the people to a great deal.
Forget about that. I remember a screening for the Army, Navy, and Air Force, plus Assam Rifle conclave in Shillong in 2006. And I still remember that because it was a memory that I will always treasure. Is just before the screening, and President Kalam was there at that screening. The Major General of Assam Rifles came up to me and he said, "Onir, this is the army. You can't talk about homosexuality." So this was obviously the AIDS awareness drive, but you can't talk about it. So I was kind of disheartened and broken. And then he smiled and he said, "You're an outsider. Go ahead and speak what you want." So I just loved the way, they used the fact that I'm an outsider to empower the entire discourse.
What to say? That is too much of asking. Yeah, I never. I don't think any filmmaker thinks of the impact the film will have in the industry as such. We just make films. My opinion with the target audience I had in mind was the elite, the film educated audience. When I say film educated, people who have access to watch all international films, who come to who watch select films, and they feel proud of having a film of that sort in Tamil. But it went beyond, because the first day's revenue was like unimaginable numbers. We more or less broke even the first day itself. That kind of numbers we saw coming in from the theater. We were surprised. So because people are there waiting to watch films, and then I really was touched by that. People watching the film and saying good things about a film like Visarane.
It was very interesting because Ormax had done a study on the theatrical success of the film, and they said that a lot of the people who actually went to watch the film were not regular theater going audiences. So they actually stepped out to watch this film, and and they had given us a very poor assessment of how the film will do before the film had released. And they actually sent out like a note saying that they were, incorrect in their predictions because the film had such a high return on investment.
Also, I think the reason why the film is made, we unfortunately don't have ways to measure, impact of a film besides box office. The metrics, unfortunately, don't exist. You have an Ormax ratings agency that has very vague, most popular. Everything is most popular. It is mainly to do with popularity and revenue. You see, it's very difficult to see what kind of social change the film brings about. The film bringing social change is a very, very long curve, and it is a result of many other things. Unfortunately, we measure the impact by what you see online. Google is your only metric right now. How much traction you've got, The Google Analytics sort of give you some sort of pointer about what your film has sparked off. When a film resonates with people, so much is written about it. People write about Shahid even 7 years later. Aligarh is written about so many years later. Every time we talk of gay rights and gay activism, Aligarh is written about. When they talk of films on migration, they talk about city lights.
Yeah.
In those conversations, you will find the metrics. So what is the film? What is the issue that the film focuses on? The main focus and the secondary focus of the film. And you sort of map the conversations around those issues from the available data and try to measure impact. I think it's something, if people are not doing it, might be worthwhile trying.
Automatically, of course, because it is a business driven by how they say कि audience को ये पसंद है इसलिए हम ये बना रहे हैं. तो वो भले ही वो आधा सच होता है, आधा सच ये होता है कि आप वही दे रहे हैं इसलिए लोग वही देख रहे हैं. But it's still, there's some truth to the fact that people, if something works, then there are many more people doing the same thing mindlessly also, and sometimes that mindlessness also succeeds because there's some kind of a whatever trend in the market, and people also kind of warm up to that kind of a thing.
இப்போ என்னன்னா, இப்போ இனி வரும் தலைமுறைகளுக்கு வந்து நான் நிறைய ஸ்கிரிப்ட் எனக்கு வருது, நான் படிக்கிறேன், நான் ப்ரொடக்ஷன் பண்றதுனால இதை தவறா புரிஞ்சுக்கிற ஒரு கல்ச்சர் கிரியேட் ஆகுதுன்னு. ஆர்ட்ல இருந்து விலகி பிரச்சாரத்தை வந்து முன்வைக்கிற இல்ல வந்து முழுக்க முழுக்க வந்து கதாபாத்திரங்கள் வந்து புரட்சியே பேசிட்டு இருக்கு. ஆர்ட்ன்ற ஃபார்ம் விலகி சினிமா இட்ஸ் கம்ப்ளீட்லி ஆர்ட். எனக்கு என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ஆர்ட்டுக்குள்ள நம்ம ஒரு விஷயத்த பேசுறோம் அப்படின்னு தான் நான் நினைக்கிறேன். ஆனா ஒரு இப்ப என்ன நடக்குதுன்னா வந்து நிறைய இப்ப நான் சில முக்கியமான ஸ்கிரிப்ட் நான் படிச்சிருக்கேன், சூப்பரா இருக்கு. ஆனா அதே டைம்ல என்னன்னா எல்லாருமே வந்து இந்த பிரச்சனையை வந்து இப்படிதான் பேசணும், இப்ப இவங்க எல்லாருமே பேசுவாங்க அப்படின்றத வந்து அப்படி எழுதுற ஒரு ரைட்டிங் ஸ்டைல் வந்து கிரியேட் ஆயிடுச்சுன்ற ஒரு பயம் எனக்கு இருக்கு. அப்படி இல்லாம சினிமான்ற ஆர்ட் மீடியம் சரியா புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு சினிமா அந்த நம்ம உருவாக்குற ஆர்ட் மீடியத்துக்குள்ள அந்த பிரச்சனை இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். அந்த பிரச்சனையை வந்து ஒரு மீடியமா மாத்தாம அந்த பிரச்சனைக்குள்ள இது இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். நான் அப்படி வந்து இருக்கணும். இன்னொன்னு என்னன்னா, இப்போ டெஃபினட்டா இன்னைக்கு உருவாக்குற சின்ன சின்ன விஷயங்கள் கூட ஒரு பெரிய டிஸ்கஷனை கிரியேட் பண்ணுது. அதனால வந்து நீங்க சொல்ற கருத்தை சொல்வதற்கு முன்னாடி டெஃபினட்டா யோசிக்கணும், அதை பத்தி டிஸ்கஷன் பண்ணணும். அது வந்து ரொம்ப முக்கியமானதா நான் நினைக்கிறேன். அப்புறம் இன்னைக்கு ஒரு டிஜிட்டல் அப்படின்றது வந்து ஒரு குறைந்தபட்ச ஜனநாயக தன்மை உடையதா இருக்குது, ஒரு டெமோக்ரஸியா நான் வந்து பாக்குறேன். முன்னாடி பிலிம்ல வந்து அந்த டெமோக்ரஸி இருந்துதான்னா எனக்கு தெரியல. பிலிம் இட்ஸ் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் அது ஒரு செம சூப்பர் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸா இருந்தாலுமே கூட அது பெரிய அளவு என்னன்னா அது ஒரு வணிகம் சார்ந்து ஒரு பெரிய விஷயமா இருந்தது. எனக்கு டிஜிட்டல் உருவாச்சு அன்னைக்கு என்ன பண்ணாங்கன்னா எல்லாருமே படம் எடுக்க ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க. யாருக்கெல்லாம் விருப்பம் இருக்குதோ, யாரெல்லாம் படம் பண்ணணும்னு ஆசைப்பட்டாங்களோ அவங்க எல்லாமே படம் ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க. அது மாதிரி நிறைய பேர் உள்ள வந்திருக்காங்க. அப்போ இந்த டெமோக்ரஸியை நம்ம வந்து சரியா பயன்படுத்தணும், அது சரியா புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். ஆனா அதே நேரத்துல இன்னைக்கு இந்த டைம் வந்து ரொம்ப முக்கியமானதா நான் வந்து பாக்குறேன்.
I don't think any filmmaker can determine how the impact of a film he's making is going to be, what it is going to be. But then we can make sure that we don't end up making a politically incorrect film. We can make sure of that. But then the impact and then how it reaches and what the target audience and the discussion that the film could create within the society is up to the film itself and the people who are going to see the film and the time of the release of the film. That all these things are part of that thing.
अगर आपको मैसेज भी देना है तो पहली चीज तो ये कि फोकस ऑन द क्राफ्ट अ लॉट, फोकस ऑन द नैरेटिव, फोकस ऑन ह्यूमन इमोशंस, फोकस ऑन विनिंग आर्ग्यूमेंट्स. थिंक ऑफ इट एज एन आर्ग्यूमेंट, थिंक ऑफ योर piece of art as an argument. Is it a winning argument? Are you saying something which nobody has said before? Are you saying something which nobody has said before in this manner, is in this surprising manner actually? So if you are coming with an argument, especially if you're coming with a social impact argument, it has to be surprising. It can't be something which people have already interacted with and rejected. or accepted. Either ways, there has to be something new for them.
With each film, the way this whole process of impact, what you're calling, started at different stages. Again, not it was incidental. It wasn't that right from the beginning I was like, okay, we're going to take it to this NGO and have a talk, and it's going to and I feel that because it's me and Sanjay who do everything of the films. Actually, both the films could have had much wider role and impact if we had someone to help us in terms of marketing it, taking it to schools, colleges for dialogue. But that then we had to choose between making films and marketing. And obviously, as a filmmaker, for me, making the film is much more attractive.
இப்ப இந்த மாதிரியான கருத்துக்களுக்கு நீங்க பதில் சொல்லிக்கணும்னு நான் விரும்புறேன். நீங்க அந்த மாதிரியான கருத்துக்களை உடைய படங்களை எடுக்கணும்ன்றது கிடையாது என்னுடைய விருப்பம். நான் திரும்பவும் அதான் சொல்றேன். எனக்கு என்னன்னா, நீ இதெல்லாம் நான் எதிர்க்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு ஒரு படம் எடுக்க வேண்டிய அவசியமே கிடையாது. ஆனா இந்த மாதிரியான கருத்துக்களை நம்ம எப்படி ஹேண்டில் பண்றோம் உள்ள, தெரிஞ்சே தெரியாமலேயே இந்த கருத்துக்களுக்கு ஆதரவா நம்ம இருக்கிறோமா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நம்மளை ரீடிஃபைன் பண்ணிக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நான் சொல்றேன். ஒரு படைப்பு உங்ககிட்ட இருந்து வெளியே வருதுன்னா அது ரொம்ப முக்கியமானதா இருக்குது. சமூக தளத்துல டெஃபினட்டா ஒரு டிஸ்கஷனை கிரியேட் பண்ணும். அந்த கிரியேட் பண்றதுக்கான ஒரு வேல்யூ உன்னுடைய திரைப்படம் உருவாக்குதுன்னா அதோட ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டியை நீ புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு அதை வெளிப்படுத்தணும் அப்படின்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். அந்த வெளிப்படுத்துவதற்கு டெஃபினட்டா இங்க அது ஒரு பெரிய பிராக்டிஸ் தேவைப்படுது. அந்த பிராக்டிஸ் தான் இப்ப இந்த மாதிரியான இயக்கங்கள் அப்படின்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். இப்போ என்ன சொல்றது, இப்போ திரைப்படம் கூகை திரைப்படம் இயக்கம் இருக்கு. அப்புறம் அருண் ஒரு அவர் ஒரு பேசாமொழி அந்த திரைப்பட இயக்கம் அவரது ஒண்ணு வச்சிருக்காரு. அதுக்கப்புறம் இப்போ அஜயன் பாலா அவர் ஒரு மூவ்மெண்ட் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிருக்காரு. வெற்றி சார் சப்போர்ட் பண்ணி இப்ப இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய இப்ப இருக்கிறதுனால இப்ப இந்த மாதிரியான அமைப்புக்குள்ள போயிட்டு இன்னைக்கு இருக்கிற மாடர்ன் சினிமா பத்தின டிஸ்கஷன், அதுக்குள்ள இருக்கிற பாலிடிக்ஸ், இப்ப இது எல்லாம் புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு இது எப்படி சினிமாவில் ஒர்க் அவுட் ஆகும், எப்படி ஒர்க் பண்ணலாம், இப்ப இது எப்படி பண்ணலான்றத இனிமேல் வரவங்க அது புரிஞ்சுக்கணும் அப்படின்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். குறிப்பா இந்த மாதிரி படங்கள் தான் பண்ணணும்னு அவசியம் கிடையாது. ஆனா எந்த நீங்க படம் பண்ணாலும் அதுல டெஃபினட்டா சோசியல் ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டி வேணும்.
Start small, start slow. Don't rush in and make your feature film because you think, "Arey haan, mere paas ab puri kahani hai." Okay, you have, if you can, as my first lesson in stand-up comedy was, if you can hold them for 2 minutes, only then you try and make them laugh for 5 minutes. अगर आप 2 मिनट नहीं हंसा सकते किसी को तो आप सीधे 25 मिनट या 15 मिनट पे मत जाओ. अगर आप 2 मिनट लोगों को होल्ड नहीं कर सकते अपनी स्टोरी टेलिंग से, तो आप 20 मिनट की फिल्म उसके बाद बनाना. 20 मिनट जब होल्ड कर लोगे तब जाके 2 घंटे की फिल्म बनाना. सीधे 2 घंटे की बनाओगे, you will be wasting your time and energy, which would have probably helped you make 5 short films, 5 arguments, 5 stories.
The most noblest, the noblest purpose of art is to create empathy and, some kind of like a catharsis. And I think a film is kind of servicing exactly the same purpose.
So आपके पास रिसोर्सेज नहीं है, वो आजकल सबसे आसान है. आज की तारीख में फिल्म बनाना सबसे आसान है. आपके पास कैमरा आपके फोन में है, साउंड आपके फोन में है, एडिटिंग टूल सारे के सारे हैं. Just focus on the writing aspect a bit more and you will ultimately make something which will hopefully be the start of a long journey.
Everybody should be making films. Everybody should be chipping in their own thoughts and ideas. And then we see a change coming in the long run. But films are the literature of today. Film music is the music of today, at least in India.
Everybody is talented. Everyone has stories to tell. I think the people who end up really continuing to make films are the ones who have emotional resilience and the ones who know how to persevere and stay in the game.